Chosen one, you've always sensed it. Rooms full of people never truly felt full to you. You weren't made to blend into the crowd, because the crowd was never your assignment. I didn't call you to follow noise. I called you to listen for my voice in silence. You didn't miss out on fellowship. You were protected from confusion. You didn't lose connection. You were preserved for communion. Every moment of solitude has been a setup for sacred clarity. The loneliness you've carried was not abandonment. It was consecration. And the ache you feel for belonging is not weakness. It is the echo of divine separation, proof that you've been marked for more. There's a reason the room drains you, but my presence fills you. You were not made to adapt to chaos, but to carry peace. I didn't wire your spirit for performance. I wired it for prophecy. Your low tolerance for noise isn't emotional. It's spiritual discernment. Others socialize to feel alive. You withdraw to stay aligned. Every quiet room you chose over the crowd became a classroom for wisdom. While others ran to be seen, you remained hidden to be formed. And now, everything I taught you in silence will speak loudly through your life. I had to pull you away before I pushed you forward. The season of retreat wasn't punishment, it was preparation. You thought your disinterest in popularity made you strange, but it made you safe. Your discomfort in crowds is not social anxiety, it's spiritual sensitivity. When the noise gets louder, my voice gets clearer. When the world calls for attention, I call for obedience. And when everyone else blends in, you will stand out. Not by force, but by design. I didn't teach you isolation, I taught you intimacy with me. You've mistaken hiddenness for delay, but I say to you now, it was protection. I sheltered you from counterfeit connections so you would recognize covenant. I shielded you from imitation so you would hunger for the authentic. You weren't rejected by people, you were selected by me. I kept you out of rooms that couldn't contain your mantle. You weren't passed over, you were preserved. Now is not the time to mourn what didn't happen. Now is the time to see why I kept you out, because I'm bringing you in. The path I've given you is narrow, and that's why few walk with you. But narrow doesn't mean empty, and solitude doesn't mean sorrow. Your calling will never fit in crowds because it was crafted in consecration. The reason you've been misunderstood is because your anointing is uncommon. People tried to label you with natural terms, but what rests on you is supernatural. And now I'm calling you to stop apologizing for being different. You are not broken, you are set apart. This is why you couldn't stay in shallow places. Your depth scared those who never intended to go deeper. But you were never meant to stay surface level. You were created to carry revelation. That's why temporary connections fell apart. They couldn't handle the weight of your destiny. I didn't allow comfort to settle, because comfort was never your calling. Every season you were pulled away, I was pulling you higher, and every time you felt alone, I was surrounding you with purpose. You've been asking why you don't connect like others do, why you feel like an outsider even among believers. It's because I didn't anoint you to echo. I anointed you to declare. I didn't raise you to follow trends, I raised you to disrupt them. You weren't designed to fit in. You were built to usher in what's next. What others see as weakness, I call a weapon. What you thought disqualified you, I'm now using to qualify you. The separation you've endured is the signature of divine preparation. So now, chosen one, stay steadfast. Do not chase crowds. I am sending covenant. Do not seek approval. Walk in the authority I've already given you. What's coming next will require that you know how to be still, how to listen, how to discern. And that's exactly what I've trained you for. You're not behind schedule. You're ahead, in obedience. And every room you avoided was me avoiding warfare you weren't meant to fight. Now watch what I do with your yes. Chosen one, the silence around you is not evidence of my absence. It's evidence of my strategy. I've been speaking even when you didn't hear words. I've been leading even when you didn't see movement. In the stillness where others thought nothing was happening, I was shaping everything. I don't move like the world moves. I don't speak like the world speaks. I whispered while you waited. I trained you while you wept. And now, the silence is turning into sound, the sound of your assignment being activated. You didn't fail because you were alone. You were faithful while you were unseen. Faithfulness in the cave produces authority in the palace. What looked like delay was actually divine development. You weren't hidden because you were unworthy. You were hidden because you were weighty. I don't release heavy mantles without secret preparation. And now the evidence of what I've been building is about to show. Your life is about to shift in front of those who questioned you, not for revenge, but for revelation. Don't misread the emotional weight you've carried. You haven't been depressed. You've been discerning. That heaviness was spiritual sensitivity. You weren't breaking. You were birthing. What felt like pressure was actually power forming inside you. The enemy called it confusion, but I call it clarity emerging. The fog you felt wasn't failure. It was the cloud of my presence covering you while I worked on you in secret. Now the fog is lifting, and what I built in you will begin to manifest around you. Let's be honest, you've questioned yourself more times than you can count. You've asked, what's wrong with me? When really the question should have been, what's right with me that the enemy fears this much? You are not weak. You are not behind. You are chosen. And being chosen comes with weight, with silence, and with sacred solitude. But now you're stepping into visibility, and everything the enemy tried to make you question is becoming your platform of clarity. You are ready. And I have not forgotten your yes. Let's lock this in. Tap that like button right now. Subscribe if you're ready to walk boldly in this kind of truth. And drop 55 in the comments. It's the number of covenant, new beginnings, and divine alignment. I'm not preparing you for attention. I'm positioning you for assignment. The room may notice you now, but I've already confirmed you in private. You don't need to chase affirmation. It's already been spoken over you. Before they ever see it, I declared it. Before the invitation, I gave you the mantle. This next move isn't about promotion. It's about obedience. And as you obey, you'll watch every piece align perfectly, because I don't release you without a plan. You've survived a season most would have collapsed under. Not because you're stronger than others, but because I held you when it broke you. You've endured without explanation. You've stood without applause. And now everything I've stored in you is about to pour through you. You were not overlooked, you were overprepared. You didn't miss the moment. You were made for the moment that's now arriving. And even when you questioned if I was still with you, I never moved. I've been here the whole time guarding the oil you carry. Now, as you step forward, I am going to show you just how intentional your isolation was. Every closed door, every unreturned call, every friend who faded away, it was all divine. I wasn't letting you fall behind. I was pulling you into alignment. You're not meant to run with everyone, you're meant to walk with me. And in this next season, I will surround you not with crowds, but with covenant, not with noise, but with direction, not with confusion, but with clarity so sharp it will cut through every lie spoken over you. So stay steadfast, chosen one. This isn't the time to compromise for companionship. This is the time to rise fully into the mantle I've placed on your life. The ache to belong is real, but your belonging is found in me. You weren't created for comfort. You were forged for calling. And now the same God who formed you in the secret place is calling you into the place of purpose. Step forward, not with fear, but with fire. Chosen one, the enemy has tried to convince you that something is wrong with your design, that your aversion to crowds, your need for silence, your depth of thought, your disinterest in small talk were flaws. But I say to you, they are marks of calling. The very things the world labeled as too much or too different are the evidence that you carry something sacred. You weren't made to be consumed by noise. You were made to carry my voice. And those who carry my voice rarely fit in the volume of the world. I'm not molding you into someone palatable. I'm awakening who you really are. You weren't meant to be loud for attention. You were created to carry weight in silence. There's a gravity in your presence, not because of personality, but because of presence mine. That discomfort you feel when things are shallow is not arrogance, it's alignment. I've placed within you a hunger that only purpose can satisfy. And I've withheld certain friendships, platforms, and affirmations because they would have pulled you out of your depth. You've asked why you outgrew certain people so quickly, why rooms that once felt right started feeling wrong. It's because I matured your spirit faster than your circle. And when the room stopped feeding your growth, I started pulling you toward higher places. You didn't become arrogant, you became awakened. And yes, it can feel lonely to grow when others remain stagnant. But you were never built to stay at the level of convenience. I'm calling you to the level of covenant. Stop grieving the loss of what couldn't go with you. I removed it because you prayed for alignment. You asked me to protect your purpose, and I answered by pruning your surroundings. What you thought was rejection was actually the answer to your own prayer. And now, everything around you is shifting because I'm making space for what's next. You can't walk into your next season dragging yesterday's expectations. You can't carry divine fire and people-pleasing at the same time. Choose one. I've already chosen you. Your walk is not common because your mission is not optional. You've been carrying a weight others don't see and wondering why you feel exhausted. It's because the mantle on you is heavy, but it's holy. And I've given you strength for it. You don't need to explain the burden you carry to those who weren't assigned to carry it with you. They won't understand because it's not theirs to understand. Stop over-explaining. Just obey. The oil speaks louder than your explanation ever could. Every moment you spent wondering if something was wrong with you was a moment the enemy tried to sabotage your agreement with me. But now I cancel every lie that made you feel disqualified. You are not too sensitive. You are spiritually alert. You are not too quiet. You are strategically positioned. You are not disconnected. You are deeply anchored. And now, I'm not just calling you out of hiding. I'm calling you into the reason you were hidden. This world rewards visibility, but I reward obedience. And your obedience in the dark is what prepared you for the light. Others built platforms. I built you. Others chased crowds. You followed me. And now, what you gained in private is about to be revealed in public. Not for applause, but for purpose. I'm going to show through you what obedience really looks like. And when they ask how you made it through, you'll say, God walked me out of the noise and into the assignment. So, stay steady. Don't rush to be understood. Be anchored to the one who understands you completely. Don't dilute your depth for shallow validation. Don't exchange sacred revelation for surface approval. What I've placed in you requires space, maturity, and discernment, and I will give you the room, the clarity, and the alignment. You're not missing out by avoiding the crowd. You're gaining me in fullness, and when you have me, you lack nothing. Chosen one, the reason your presence unsettles certain environments is because you carry clarity where there's compromise. You walk in rooms, and spirits that have been undisturbed for years become restless, not because you speak loudly, but because you carry authority. I didn't anoint you to fit in, I anointed you to confront atmospheres. And the reason you feel tension where others feel comfort is because your spirit is tuned to a higher frequency. You weren't created to go along. You were created to set the tone. There is a boldness rising in you that you didn't earn. It's being activated. Every moment you chose to stay quiet instead of arguing was a seed of obedience. Every time you walked away instead of retaliating, I recorded it. And now that restraint is turning into spiritual fire. You've held your tongue, but now I'm sharpening your voice. Not for debates, but for declarations. You're going to speak, and things will shift. Because I've placed weight on your words, they will not fall to the ground. Don't be surprised when people who once welcomed you now avoid you. Light exposes what darkness tries to hide. You've become a mirror. When people encounter you, they see what they've avoided within themselves. That's not your fault, and it's not your burden to fix. Keep walking in purity. Keep walking in truth. The discomfort they feel around you is not rejection, it's conviction. And conviction is often the beginning of transformation, even if it starts with resistance. The loneliness you've endured is the evidence that you refused to conform. While others diluted their identity to maintain connection, you chose consecration over convenience. And I honor that. I saw the tears you never shared. I heard the prayers you whispered between closed doors. And now, I am responding, not just with comfort, but with confirmation. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are exactly where I placed you, and your obedience is producing fruit even in the silence. You've wondered, why can't I just enjoy what others enjoy? Because what satisfies the crowd cannot sustain the called. I placed in you a different appetite. You crave peace, not noise, purpose, not popularity, depth, not distraction. That's not weakness, it's wiring. I designed you to find joy in obedience, not in attention, and I will satisfy you with my presence in a way nothing else ever could. You don't need more followers. You need more of me. And that's what I'm giving you. Some will mislabel you because you don't engage like they expect, but they don't realize you're listening to a voice they can't hear. You move on assignment, not impulse. You speak when I speak, not when culture demands it. You've been mistaken as distant, when in reality, you've been deeply connected to me. And I'm about to vindicate your restraint. The same people who misunderstood your silence will witness the power of your obedience. This next phase requires discernment, not display. I'm not calling you to announce, I'm calling you to align. And as you move in step with me, the right doors will open, the right voices will connect, the right moments will unlock. You don't need to fight for opportunity. I am the one sending for you. What's meant for you will find you, not through performance, but through positioning. Stay positioned. Stay present. I'm not delayed, I'm precise. So breathe, chosen one. Stop worrying about who left, who misunderstood, who didn't see your value. I've seen it. I ordained it. And I'm now revealing it. Your walk may be quiet, but it is not empty. It is full of oil, full of authority, and full of power. Keep walking, because everything I've promised is meeting you on the road of obedience. You've avoided the crowd, but you've never walked alone. Chosen one, I'm calling you to stop interpreting your difference as damage. You've carried the weight of wondering why you don't relate, why you always feel slightly out of step with your surroundings. But that tension is not dysfunction, it's distinction. I wired you differently so I could use you differently. You were never supposed to be synchronized with the world. You were chosen to interrupt it. What feels like disconnection is actually divine calibration for what I've assigned you to carry. You weren't overlooked. You were overqualified for the rooms you tried to fit into. They didn't reject you because you lacked value. They rejected you because your presence made compromise uncomfortable. I didn't call you to be safe, I called you to be set apart. That edge you feel, that restlessness when things feel shallow, is me nudging you toward alignment. You cannot thrive where you're merely tolerated. That's why I keep pulling you out of what others settle for. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just that there's something deeply right in you. Even now, I am stripping away the last layer of doubt. You've asked, did I miss it? Should I have done things differently? No. You did what few are willing to do. You obeyed me in obscurity. You listened when there was no audience. You believed when there was no proof. And that obedience has built a foundation that cannot be shaken. What's coming next doesn't require you to prove anything. It only requires that you continue to walk in what I've already confirmed. You're not in the wrong season. You're in the refining phase. The furnace of solitude was not to destroy you. It was to purify your perspective. While others sought validation, you sought me. And now your reward will not be applause, it will be authority. Authority that cannot be stolen, favor that cannot be manipulated, and influence that cannot be bought. You are emerging, not from ambition, but from assignment. And that's why nothing can stop what I'm about to do through you. I'm not in a hurry, and neither should you be. My timing is not delayed, it's deliberate. If I wanted you exposed earlier, I would have done it. But exposure without preparation is dangerous. That's why I hid you. That's why I isolated you. That's why I limited your access. Not to punish you, but to protect the weight you carry. Now that the foundation is set, the rise will be rapid. Not because you chased it, but because I've ordained it. Don't shrink just because your surroundings stayed small. I didn't call you to reflect your environment. I called you to transform it. You won't find your reflection in the crowd. You'll find it in my word. You'll find it in the quiet place. You'll find it in the assignment I placed within you when no one was watching. And that assignment is now maturing into movement. Not a moment, not a feeling. A movement because obedience always multiplies. So hear me clearly. You are not late. You are not off track. You are right where I placed you, walking the path I designed. And every no was an arrow pointing you to the divine yes that's now unfolding. Stop doubting the route just because the crowd isn't on it. The narrow path doesn't feel familiar, but it always leads to fulfillment. And I walk with you on every step of it. Lift your head, chosen one. The weight you've carried is the proof of what's about to be birthed. Don't despise the ache, it's labor. Don't misread the stretch, it's preparation. And don't you dare minimize your obedience, it's history in the making. I am with you, I have always been with you, and soon, The world will see what I've known from the beginning. You were never alone. You were always anointed. Chosen one, there is a grace on your life that cannot be explained by natural terms. People will wonder how you endured, how you kept going without applause, without support, without affirmation, and they won't understand that it wasn't willpower that sustained you. It was my hand. You didn't survive on strength, you survived on surrender, and that surrender is why you're still standing. That surrender is why the enemy's plans didn't succeed. Because while others trusted strategy, you trusted me. Your resistance to the crowd was never arrogance, it was discernment. I taught you how to detect when something looks right, but isn't righteous. That's why you walked away when others stayed. That's why you sat still when others rushed in. You were learning spiritual timing. You were being trained not to follow impulses, but to follow instruction. And that obedience is about to open doors that no amount of networking could have achieved. I reward those who move when I say move, not when it makes sense to man. Don't let the noise make you question what you heard in the stillness. The same voice that led you into this season will lead you through it. I didn't bring you this far to abandon you. I brought you here to activate what's been dormant. I let the silence stretch so your discernment could deepen. I allowed isolation so your roots would grow. And now, those roots are about to bear fruit in ways even you didn't expect. This is not a restart, it's a reveal. You have not been wandering, you've been walking with me, step by step, tear by tear, question by question, and even when you didn't feel me, I was building in you something unshakable. That's why your peace didn't break under pressure. That's why your faith didn't die in the delay. I kept you close, even when you didn't recognize the closeness. And now, the fruit of that closeness is about to show, not in noise, but in unmistakable evidence. The path of the chosen one is rarely understood. It includes wildernesses, wrestlings, and long waits, but it also carries glory, authority, and divine reward. You've gone through all three. You've been faithful in the silence, loyal in the pressure, and obedient in the uncertainty. And now what you didn't quit on is going to break open. The promise I made to you wasn't just a comfort, it was a covenant, and I do not break covenant. Your hunger for more isn't carnal, it's confirmation. I placed that longing in you. I stirred that ache so you wouldn't settle. I let the shallow become unbearable so you'd press deeper. And that pressing has reached heaven. That hunger has created access. You've not been forgotten in the waiting. You've been watched with delight. Because every moment you could have compromised but didn't, I marked it. And I'm responding to it now with a reward no crowd can give. You will not emerge the same. You're not coming out of hiding to impress. You're stepping forward to impact. I'm not raising you up to be popular. I'm raising you up to be prophetic. You will move with clarity, with calm, and with confidence. Not because you trained for visibility, but because you were faithful in obscurity. I'm about to show what I do with those who obey without audience, what I do with those who follow when the path is narrow and the cost is high. So keep walking, chosen one. This isn't the season to explain. This is the season to embody. Let the fruit speak. Let the obedience echo. You've outgrown the old labels. You've surpassed the small definitions. And now, you're stepping into the size of the call that's always been waiting for you. Don't look back. Don't second guess. Don't apologize for the oil. This is what you were made for, and you didn't miss it. You've arrived. Chosen one, the weight you feel today is not resistance. It's responsibility. You are carrying something sacred, and that weight is the confirmation that you've been entrusted with something most people cannot handle. It's not your imagination. It's not emotional fatigue. It's the gravity of obedience. You carry the burden of clarity in a world obsessed with confusion. You carry the flame of truth in a culture that fears conviction. And while others are entertained, you are interceding. That's not heaviness without purpose. It's the call of a messenger. You don't long for the stage, you long for the secret place. That alone separates you. That single desire is what keeps the oil flowing. While others chase relevance, you've chased revelation. And because you didn't sell out for attention, I'm about to pour out what can't be imitated. There's no formula for what you carry. There's no shortcut to the depth you've walked through. And that's why what's on your life can't be denied. The same people who doubted your silence will soon witness your authority. Let me remind you, you are not becoming. You already are. The process was never about making you worthy. It was about preparing you to carry what you've always been worthy of. The delays didn't diminish your identity, they revealed your capacity. You didn't get passed over, you got fortified. And now that you've withstood the pruning, I'm releasing the fruit. You are stepping into the prepared place I've been getting ready for you since the moment you first said yes. Before we go further, take a moment. Like this video to let others know you're part of this. Subscribe to stay in tune with what's being revealed next. And comment 55 below. That's the code of covenant, new beginnings, and divine alignment. I'm about to make you undeniable, not for your sake, but for the sake of those who need to see that obedience still brings results. You won't need to defend yourself. You won't need to argue your value. I'm going to validate you publicly because you honored me privately. You're about to be proof that faithfulness is never wasted. Every quiet yes, every hidden seed, every secret sacrifice, it's all coming back multiplied. I do not ignore what others overlook. There will be moments ahead where the room looks the same, but your role has changed. You won't sit in the background like before. You won't carry the same weight without release. The shift will be subtle but undeniable. You will speak and doors will open. You will move and chains will break. And it won't be because you shouted. It will be because you carry my authority. Your presence will carry peace, your words will carry power, and your decisions will carry legacy. You've graduated spiritually, even if no one handed you a certificate. You know it, you feel it, and now I'm confirming it. The tests are changing. The surroundings are shifting. The anointing is increasing. Because you proved that your faith wasn't seasonal, you stayed when it was dry. You believed when it was quiet. And because of that, I'm releasing what couldn't be released before. You are trusted now at a higher level, and heaven is backing your next move. This world needs what you carry, but not in diluted form. Don't package your message to make it easier to digest. Speak what I give you. Walk where I lead you. Move when I nudge you. And do not apologize for the clarity you carry. You were never meant to fit in rooms where deception was allowed to thrive. That's why I made you uncomfortable there, not to exile you, but to reveal your real assignment. So stand tall, chosen one. You don't need to shrink to be accepted. You don't need to perform to be promoted. Your consistency is about to speak louder than anyone's opinion ever did. The mantle I've placed on your life is not fragile, it's fireproof. You've walked through flames and didn't burn, and now you carry a testimony not just of survival, but of unstoppable purpose. Step forward. You are ready. Chosen one, let this be sealed in your spirit. You were never overlooked by heaven. Every tear you shed in isolation was caught, recorded, and redeemed. You didn't cry for nothing. You cried because the mantle you carry was pressing against everything false trying to cling to you. And now that it's clear who you are, there's no going back to smallness. There's no going back to the crowd you outgrew. There's no going back to conversations that dilute your calling. You've crossed a threshold, and what's ahead is tailored to the oil on your life. You were set apart, not abandoned. Misunderstood, but never mistaken. The world may have called you strange, but heaven called you strategic. Everything you endured in the dark is now turning into light for others. You are a lighthouse in a world addicted to storms. You are a signal of divine steadiness when everything around you trembles. That's why your walk had to be private first, because public favor without private foundation is destruction. But you've been built for impact, and you will not collapse under the weight of what's coming. The places I'm sending you are desperate for what you've learned in the silence. Your wisdom isn't just information, it's revelation. Your discernment isn't just intuition, it's anointed precision. You will walk into rooms that don't yet understand what they need, and your presence will be the answer. Not because you're perfect, but because you're positioned. You've been through the fire, not to be destroyed, but to carry something pure. And what's pure lasts. You're going to see with your own eyes the fruit of every lonely yes. So step into your tomorrow with no fear, no apology, and no shrinking. You are not the same person who questioned everything in the past. You are standing now as one who has been refined, prepared, and trusted. This moment isn't random. It's a divine unveiling. You've avoided the crowd, but you've walked closely with me. And because of that, I'm walking you straight into fulfillment. You didn't need to be known by many. You only needed to be known by me. And I've known from the beginning. You are chosen. And now, the world is about to see it too.